just entering the state of hypnosis is something that should be familiar to everyone. We are all in it multiple times a day, generally the first 30 minutes after waking, 30 minutes before falling asleep. Anytime you've ever been driving down the road and you miss your exit and you're like, where was I for the last 20 minutes? Essentially, it's a meditative state where you're dropping down from a beta conscious thinking state down into an alpha theta. The therapy part comes in when you actually start using therapeutic and behavioral change techniques along with that state in order to learn how to modify whatever you're trying to change. Losing fear, helping with pain, helping with healing processes.
Weight loss,
right?
Absolutely.
Quitting smoking, any of those things.
Hello and welcome to Sound Mind and Body, a podcast where we interview inspiring people about the many different ways to stay healthy, balanced, and well of mind, body, and spirit in today's crazy world with a dash of woo-woo. I'm your host, Sheila Melody, and today we're talking about hypnotherapy. Ooh, not the kind that you might think we're talking about, but there's actually therapy where you use hypnosis, and it's becoming very popular, and I'm hearing more and more about it. My guest today is Britt Sheflin, a certified hypnotherapist who helps people make shift happen through her customized one-on-one hypnotherapy sessions, specializing in weight loss, sports performance, joyous labor and childbirth, vocational creativity, releasing fears and phobias, and much more. I have been hearing about this for so long, and I got introduced to Britt by a colleague of mine. So I'm very excited to have this conversation. Welcome, Britt.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
And doesn't she have a lovely voice?
Thank you.
Is that like a prerequisite to get into this business? Do you have to kind of have a calming, lovely voice?
Absolutely not. However, you do have to be able to modulate it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So let's talk about your journey leading you to become a professional hypnotherapist. You have a very interesting story.
Well, it's really been a lifelong journey. I was always one of those kids who is constantly daydreaming, which is a form of self-hypnosis. So I would just take myself on all of these incredible journeys into worlds that I made up in my mind. And later on, I kind of realized that my first kind of application for taking good care of myself with it was I had asthma growing up. Oh. And there was a certain point where I realized that I could use my breathing and my state of consciousness to bring myself out of an asthma attack.
Oh, wow. How old were you?
I was probably about 10 when I figured it out, but I had asthma from maybe 6 onwards.
So. But that's really young to be able to figure something like that out.
Yeah, so just bringing down my stress level and being able to realize that I had control over it was really powerful. I didn't realize that it was self-hypnosis at the time. But then I worked briefly in a hypnosis show in Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
So fascinating.
That is so interesting. So what, were you like the subject, or what did you do in the show?
Right. So I was there to basically help keep people safe.
Okay.
Some people go really far into it, and you want to make sure that they don't get too relaxed and fall out of their chair or do anything to harm themselves. So yeah, I was just there to kind of make sure that people were safe. So I really just got to watch the show firsthand every night. And
that's so interesting. Yeah. And did you know anything about hypnosis when you first started that job?
Nothing.
Is that where you realized that you were kind of self-hypnotizing as a child?
I think so. Yeah, although I really did not want anything to do with anybody else hypnotizing me, because I was under the impression, like a lot of people are, that you could be controlled by it.
Right.
So even though they offered to do hypnosis for me, I declined at that point because I really was convinced that it was mind control, because you have all of these amazing people with a very certain type of suggestibility who get up on stage and do all of that incredible stuff that you see in those shows.
Yeah, but are they real, like, audience members that get up and they've never been, done this before? Does it really happen in those shows?
It really does happen. And some people will actually get hypnotized while they're in the audience, and then they'll pull them up.
That is so interesting. I actually have never been to one of those like shows in Vegas. So that's really interesting. And then it got you into deciding that this might be a career for you, or how did that bridge to being a career?
So after I used it for childbirth, I used self-hypnosis.
Now, so from doing the show in Vegas, and then that gave you the idea to use it for childbirth.
Correct.
You hypnotized yourself.
Yes.
How in the world? I mean, I've been through childbirth, and that is unbelievable to me. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, it was a really incredible experience. And I'm sure it'll come up multiple times throughout the conversation, but it's practice. It's something that I like to teach anybody and everybody who is willing to learn, which is hypnotic anesthesia. It can help with everything from, headaches, or I burned my hand last night and I did it. And when I burned it, there were these huge blisters all over my hand, and you don't see them anymore, do you?
No.
Yeah, they're barely there. Now, I wasn't focusing on making the blisters going away. I just wanted it to stop hurting.
Right.
So while I was icing it, I did the hypnotic anesthesia, and then I noticed that the blisters actually completely disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, everything from the dentist to a lot of people are afraid of needles, so it really helps with blood draws, injections, things like that.
Well, what's interesting is that my mother used hypnotherapy for childbirth way back it had to be in the late 50s. It was the late 50s because before I was born, I have an older brother and an older sister. And it was for one or both of them. And was that a thing back then? It sounds like it was really progressive.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll hear more people having used it in the 60s and 70s than you do in the 50s. But, I mean, it's been around for a very, very long time.
Really? Okay. Yeah, when you told me that you did that, or I read it about you self-hypnotizing for your childbirth, I was like, wait a minute, my mother did that. It sounds so, and now they go through all these, rituals and things and everything, but it's all about, managing the pain of childbirth, I think, the discomfort. It's, it's not easy.
Absolutely.
So what exactly is hypnotherapy? Explain what happens in that process. What happens?
Okay, so in order to break that down, we'll talk about hypnosis first.
Oh, there's a difference.
Right. So just entering the state of hypnosis is something that should be familiar to everyone. We are all in it multiple times a day, generally the first 30 minutes after waking, 30 minutes before falling asleep. Anytime you've ever been driving down the road and you miss your exit and you're like, where was I for the last 20 minutes?
Oh, yes.
Anytime you laugh or cry during a movie that something has touched you emotionally that you know isn't real, you're in a light state of hypnosis. Essentially, it's a meditative state where you're dropping down from a beta conscious thinking state down into an alpha theta. And the therapy part comes in when you actually start using therapeutic and behavioral change techniques along with that state in order to learn how to modify whatever you're trying to change. Losing fear, helping with pain, helping with healing processes.
Weight loss,
right? Absolutely. Quitting smoking, any of those things.
So those are some examples. What else would somebody go to? Didn't you say you do fear of flying a lot?
Oh, yeah. That's actually something that a lot of people have. And it's really common. And it happens to people who are highly suggestible because if you think about it, in an airport, there's a lot of words like terminal, departure, final destination.
Oh my gosh.
And if you happen to be having a low blood sugar at the time and that's going in and your body is in a slight state of anxiety from low blood sugar, that's exactly how you develop a phobia of flying.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I can completely relate to that. Years ago, and this was probably like 20 years ago or something, I remember getting on a plane and it was in Vegas. And I was just flying back to Burbank, which is a very short flight, but I was on the plane. It was really hot. I probably was in a low state of, a state of low blood sugar. And we were sitting on the plane and they were fixing something and it was hot. And I had a boyfriend at the time that was very like suggestible probably. And we were sitting there and all of a sudden this fear came over me. Oh my God, we're going to crash. And I said to him, oh my God, I want to get off the plane, right? And because he's so like suggestible like that, he was like, all right, we're getting off the plane. And we literally he got up and he said, we're getting off this plane. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, you can't get off. Then we're like, we're getting off this plane now. And of course, we got off the plane and nothing happened to the plane. Mm-hmm. But I did have this huge wave of anxiety and fear come over me. And I never thought of it as being in that state of low blood sugar or just being, that's very interesting.
Yeah. And that's actually really great that you bring that up because being able to identify when you're having low blood sugar is also really helpful for being able to identify when you're having a suggestibility issue or you're having a real intuition.
Oh, see, I never knew there was a connection. That's very interesting. So you had told me that when somebody's experiencing anxiety, that usually, like, what's the percentage of chance that they have low blood sugar? It's like 90%.
I mean, I would say, yeah, roughly 90%, possibly higher. It could, at least connected to it in some way, shape, or form.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to start really paying attention to that. I mean, I don't really get anxiety that much, but occasionally, Mm-hmm. But once you do go through that, like once I went through that on that plane and I got off the plane, then it was like every flight from then on, I was like, oh my God, my palms would start to sweat and I'd be freaking out. I had to have this ritual mm-hmm. of eating M&Ms. I had this little ritual that I had to go through. And if I didn't have my M&Ms and eat them while we're taking off, I was thinking something bad was going to happen. But I got caught in this loop. I don't do it anymore. But for a while, I was caught in that loop. Does that happen?
That makes complete sense. And you're having some sugar to help stabilize yourself to get through that. Yeah.
I just realized that. Yeah. Wow. I never connected that.
Yeah. So fear of flying is actually very easy to treat. I mean, most people can get over it in 1 to 3 sessions. It's one of the easiest things to take care of.
Wow.
So you're not only making them aware of blood sugar, but also changing that association that they developed when they were in a state of low blood sugar so that they can regain the common sense of safety. We all know that flying is safer than driving consciously.
Right.
But there's that subconscious association. And once those are built in there and reinforced, you have to do something like hypnosis to get rid of them, or unless you want to take drugs.
So how does hypnosis work? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So in the therapeutic sense, we're basically opening up a pathway through what's called the critical filter. And the critical filter is kind of what holds all of our positive and negative associations to things that we've developed all through our life, most of which get cemented in between the ages of 0 and 8. So that's why a lot of things that we developed as a child are so hard to change.
Right.
So we open up that filter by going into an alpha theta state. So it's just like a light meditation. And everybody experiences it in a completely different way. Some people feel very relaxed and in a dreamlike state. Some people feel more awake and aware and they think they're not going into it at all. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a completely unique experience with it. And then basically we're just talking to the subconscious mind. So depending on whether you are somebody who takes in information literally or more inferentially, I'll speak to you and your subconscious mind in a different way.
Interesting. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about your process, and I'm going to share my experience with that. As you all know, I'm a big advocate of finding your woo-woo, which I consider to be that magical, intangible energy that makes you feel strong and inspired to live your best life. But there is one very tangible way that I have found makes me feel strong and inspired, and that's strength training. And specifically, the slow motion, high intensity strength training method that I have been practicing for almost 15 years. And yes, this is a plug for my strength training studio, which we recently rebranded to be The Strength Code. I was introduced to this method about 15 years ago by an ex-boyfriend.
Turns out ex-boyfriends are good for something. It's the only method that I have been able to sustain over the years, and I plan to continue doing this for as long as I can because this system works. It's not some crazy boot camp that will render your arms useless and you can't walk downstairs without wincing. Our unique method is straightforward, safe, very effective, and backed by science. Our secret? Lift weights very slowly in perfect form. With this method, most people only need one workout per week to stimulate their muscles to get stronger. And it's in a cool private studio with no sweaty people trying to hit on you, no waiting for the exercise machines. More muscle means toning. More muscle makes all those other things you want to do easier and safer. More muscle means raising your metabolism. It means more energy. Simply put, taking care of our muscle is the most important thing you can do for your body, especially if you're over 30. At the Strength Code, we believe that your workout should be as unique as your body. We customize your workout to be perfect for you. And we have a great intro offer for only $49, which includes a consultation and 2 workouts. The perfect way to experience this amazing method and see if it's right for you. Just go to our website, thestrengthcode.com, and purchase the intro offer, request an appointment, and you're good to go. We have 5 trainers, and all of them are great. And John, Joe, Wendy, and me, of course. Plus, if you say you heard it here on Sound, Mind, and Body, I will give you an extra session. So what are you waiting for? Your muscles need you. Getting stronger in your body will boost your mind and your spirit, making you an unstoppable creator. thestrengthcode.com. See you there.
Hey friends, this is Tim Edwards, producer of Sound, Mind, and Body. I'd like to invite you to check out one of the other popular podcasts we produce here with the Inbound Podcasting Network that I think you'll find very informative. It's the Vibrant Living Wellness Center podcast with functional medicine clinical nutritionist Heidi Hoffman. Vibrant Living Wellness Center is located right here in Southern California, and they provide a wide range of health and wellness services, including nutrition coaching and meal planning, Reiki energy healing, and my favorite, the seasonal 28-day detox cleanse. Why is it my favorite? Because it works. I participated in the detox cleanse back in January, and I lost a total of 9 pounds in just 28 days. But most importantly, it kick-started me into developing healthier eating habits. And since then, I've lost a total of 16 pounds and am now only about 7 pounds away from my target weight. So guess what? I'm doing it again, starting at the end of this month. And they offer these seasonal cleanses in the spring, fall, and after the new year. I'll include links in the show notes that'll provide you with much more information than I have time to tell you about right now. So join me on this journey to feeling great, enjoying better sleep, and getting our bodies summer ready with the seasonal 28-day detox cleanse with Vibrant Living Wellness Center.
Okay, we're back and we are talking to Britt Sheflin, a certified hypnotherapist. And before the break, we started to talk about how you begin working with a client. Like if I come to you and say, I want to lose weight or have a major fear of flying, what's your process?
Sure. So the first thing I usually do is a free 20-minute phone consultation so that I can kind of get to know the client, what their needs are, what exactly they're going through, and how they're wanting to move forward. Mm-hmm. And then when they come in to see me, I do a series of things testing their suggestibility so that I can determine whether or not there's somebody who takes in information literally or inferentially. I make sure that they understand the process that we're going to go through to know what to expect, to allay any fears or worries that they may have about hypnosis. And to show them exactly how it works by drawing that picture that we did where I illustrate how exactly subconscious associations become cemented in to the mind and then how we go in and change them.
Okay, yeah, and I do remember when we first spoke, you asked me certain questions and I just nodded yes or no. And then you were very careful to continue to reassure me that I was always in control, that you're not going to take control of me. I'm in control, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
That's one of the things. And you constantly kind of reassure that. With my experience, first I was like, well, I'd like to lose a few pounds and, I'd like to get into better habits of eating and exercising a little more during the week. Like I have a very busy, demanding schedule and I wanted to just like get a little bit more me time in there. So we went through that whole process. And then we did ours. I want to note though, we did our meeting remotely on Zoom, which was just as effective. You can do this with people remotely.
Yes, that's correct. In fact, all of my clients eventually choose to do remote, even if they're local, because at some point they're not going to want to have to drive in LA traffic and park and then have to do that again after they just got really relaxed.
Right.
So yeah, it allows me to have clients all over the country and the world and to be able to let people just enjoy the benefits of their session without having to drive afterwards.
Well, I thought it was really interesting when we first tried we did 2 little hypnosis trials and you had me have my arm resting one arm on the desk. And then you go through this whole process and you're telling me to lift my arm up. And I got to tell you, I was like, wait, am I doing that? Is my arm? Why is my arm lifting up? It was kind of, I was like aware, but I was like, this is really happening. Like, what is that about, lifting the arm up? And is that just you testing to see how deep they go, or what's that?
Yeah, that actually serves a couple of different purposes. So one of them is to help get you into the state of hypnosis, but the other one is a continuation of me understanding how your conscious mind works with your subconscious mind and how you are taking in that information once again. So it's kind of reconfirming. Are you continuing to take the information in literally? Do I need to switch to a more inferential? So it just really helps me understand more about how your mind takes in information so that once we get to the point of adding the suggestions, I have a much better understanding of what will work best for you.
Okay. So we did that, and then we did it again, a little deeper, right? And then you created 2 audio recordings for me. Mm-hmm. So that is all custom designed for the specific client, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you were taking notes during our meeting, and then you just kind of take them through a process of getting into a deep sleep state and then suggesting? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's suggesting. And, it really helps to use the client's own words.
Right.
So I'm not going to use terminology that doesn't make sense to you. Mm-hmm. If somebody refers to something a certain way, then you really want to make sure that you're reflecting that back to them. Not only do they know that you actually heard what they're saying, but their subconscious mind is going to be more familiar with those words, that terminology, and it's just going to hear it better.
And it's not going to resist it.
Yeah. Much less likely to.
And then you're supposed to listen to those every day, right?
Ideally, yes.
Or maybe twice a day even.
You don't necessarily need to do twice a day. You don't want to be in hypnosis too much.
Okay.
A lot of us are kind of, especially with working on computers, we're in hypnosis a lot of times. Okay. So a lot of my clients actually have to kind of de-hypnotize them before I can actually hypnotize them.
Oh my gosh.
Once a day is generally sufficient.
So once a day, and then I have to say, I didn't listen to it every single day. I only listened to it maybe 4 or 5 days out of the week. But I really think it did make a difference, just that little bit, because all of a sudden I got up and went for a walk in my neighborhood like twice. And I have been eating better, and I've been, waking up easier. And that was one of the things. You were like, I wake up and I feel good. And, and I was like, wow, that was just barely doing it. So then we talked again, and you did another one for me that is where I fall asleep to it.
Right.
And that one I love. I've just been doing it for about 3 or 4 days, but I absolutely love it. And I'm going to keep doing it.
That's wonderful. Well, sleep is kind of the foundation to being able to move forward and do anything. You've got your nutrition intake, your hydration, and your sleep. Those are all incredibly important. So, but to be able to even have proper hydration and nutrition, you first need to have good sleep so that you can function as a human being.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have a specialty in nutrition because you used to be a private chef.
That's correct.
So you actually can help people who want to lose weight. You can help them with their nutrition and diet plans, right? Or eating plans.
Yeah, that's right. So I worked at a software company, and I was able to do international cuisine, which is kind of my passion. But we had all different types of eating styles. So everything from vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, and of course, different meats and fishes and all of that, and all really top-notch ingredients. So I was already very confident cooking before that, but then just being able to expand my knowledge of foods from around the world. And then in addition to that, I got into the ketogenic diet, especially after studying hypnotherapy and realizing the blood sugar connection to so many different challenges. And it's really an incredible tool.
Oh, so very interesting.
That's kind of in the last couple years, a new niche department that I've been honing my cooking skills with.
Well, we'll have to talk about that because I'm so interested in the ketogenic diet too. Everybody's talking about it, but it can go off, you don't want to go off the rails with it, but you want to apply it so that it makes sense. And the whole thing about the blood sugar, I know is really important with diet and weight loss. Mm-hmm. And now connecting that to, even productivity and being able to change your habits, it's very interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd like to segue to my questions, my sound, mind, and body questions.
Sure.
Because we could talk, the ketogenic thing is a whole other conversation. So, okay, in your own life, you're a chef, you're a hypnotherapist, you've done all these things. So how do you stay of sound, mind, and body in your day-to-day life?
So that's always an ongoing process.
Yes.
I feel like as we grow and change, new things are always coming up. And for me, it's always moving forward. But like I said, the ketogenic diet, yoga, hiking, every morning I get up and do a gentle yoga session, and I do planks just to keep myself at a basic level of strength. I do elbow planks and full planks, and then some yoga poses and squats.
Oh, nice.
And that's just my basic. Sometimes I'll do a little bit more if I have time. Sometimes cold dips in the pool. Of course, I do self-hypnosis, and I go see my own hypnotherapist.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then I also do a journaling thing that's called Mental Bank, which I believe that we
just started to talk about. I'm going to start doing that. You know what? We'll have another podcast about that because I think that's very interesting.
It is very interesting.
It's called the Mental Bank and how you basically pay yourself for doing good things for yourself, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's like a sticker reward system for your subconscious mind.
I'm going to start doing it. And then, in a couple months, we'll have you back and we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah, I would love that.
I love it. And then what's a favorite sound?
Laughter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I love it. And I actually like to use it in hypnosis too. One of the things that I'll frequently ask people is their favorite comedian.
Oh.
And then I'll try to find something relating to their challenge and put it in hypnosis. For example, a lot of times somebody who's trying to quit smoking might like George Carlin, and he has this fantastic joke about how smoking in a restaurant, having a smoking section in a restaurant is like having a peeing section in a pool.
Right. I've heard that one.
And, just adding those things in can just really kind of help cement that information in, because if you're laughing, you're really engaging with the information.
Oh, that's true.
So I love laughter in all forms, but children too, children's laughter. That's an amazing sound.
It's beautiful. Okay, so what's a favorite memory?
I have so many, but one of my favorite memories is being with my grandmother, Charlotta, and she had this amazing garden, and she taught me how to cook and how to garden and to appreciate nature. And she always had just an amazing new floral arrangement every day off of her own property.
Oh.
And she taught me how to plate food beautifully, and she also taught me Asian fusion cooking way before that was even a thing.
Oh, wow.
So I was very lucky to have her.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Okay, so what's a favorite place?
Anywhere in nature, really.
Yeah.
I love being outside, hiking, camping. The Sierras are pretty incredible.
Yeah, your car you have the camping container thing on top of your car. I was like,
yes, I do. That's why I'm the hiking hypnotist.
Oh, that's right. That's your Instagram, right?
Yes.
The hiking hypnotist. We're going to put that link in there. We all have to follow you. Okay, so final question. What's the most woo-woo thing you've ever done?
That would probably have to be giving birth at home in a tub with my midwives and my friend and my sweetheart in the tub with me and using self-hypnosis. I'd say that's pretty woo-woo.
That is very woo-woo. And everything went okay.
Everything was beautiful.
Did you have music playing or anything like that? Like what kind of music did you have playing?
Kirtan.
Oh my gosh.
On loop.
Wow. And you weren't like,
great.
turn that crap off. No.
It was very helpful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine. I think that's so powerful and so wonderful. So if anybody listening out there is pregnant and you're interested, contact Britt. If I were planning on having another baby, I might try it, but that's not happening for me. So, this has been super interesting, Britt, and I'm going to continue to work with you. And how can people get in touch with you? So they just we'll have your website, brittsheflin.com, and there's phone or email or, and you can work remotely, and so you can work with anybody.
That's right. I can work with anybody, anywhere. And all of my contact information is on my website, as you mentioned, brittsheflin.com. And yeah, I have email, phone number, any way that works best.
And you offer a free 20-minute phone conversation.
Yes.
Great. Well, I highly recommend that all the listeners take the opportunity and have that consultation with Britt. It's very interesting, and she can make shift happen in your life. Thank you so much, Britt.
Thank you so much for having me, Sheila. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that's it for this episode. Have you tried hypnotherapy? What was your experience? I would love to hear from you. Send me an email or voice memo to soundmindbodypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that on our website under the subscribe tab. Just select your favorite listening platform and subscribe. And while you're at it, you can join our Woo Woo community too. Just enter your email on the homepage of our website, and you'll start to receive an email every Monday with the latest episode, along with special announcements and other news. Thank you to our producer, Tim Edwards, and the Inbound Podcasting Network. And thank you so much to our guest, Britt Sheflin. Get in touch and join the conversation. We're on Instagram at Sound Mind Body Podcast, or find us on Facebook, YouTube, or the web. Search for Sound Mind Body Podcast. I'm Sheila Melody. Join us next week as we explore, enlighten, and evolve.